Hello. Oh my gosh. I have not gone live on my personal page in so long. So if you are hopping on live, say hello so I know you're here. I can see them pop up, but I know sometimes I can't see who stays. So say hello. If you're watching the replay, say hello too. I'll see the comments. I'm so excited to be sharing this juicy topic with you today. I've been talking to a lot of solopreneurs who are just ready, they think, to hire, but they're not really sure, or they've been in business for not very long, so they just aren't really sure when to know the right time to hire, because sometimes you want to hire someone. Yay, see, we have some people hopping on. Sometimes you want to hire someone just to do the stuff you don't want to do, and I get that, but yeah, I want to share 3 tips on how to know when the perfect time to hire is, and my computer's about to die. So I'm gonna carry you around as we go get my charger. Yay! In my bag. Oh, and there's Puppy. Oh, see, that's my desk. Ooh, this is backwards area behind me. So let me know. I'm curious if you're on live. I'm curious if you've ever hired before, or if this is your first time looking into it, because these 3 tips are really good if you've never hired before. And I've also seen them be really helpful if you already have a couple team members, just to know, okay, when is it the right time to bring someone else on? When is it the right time to just add a couple tasks to your current team's agenda? So these are helpful in all of this. So comment, let me know. Got to plug in here. Boop. There we go. Cool. So, yay, hey Savannah. So the first way to know that it's time to hire is if you feel like you're just drowning. And I always say what's come up for me every time I've been in a situation where it's time to hire, the phrase that I'm like is running through my head is, wow, I really could have used help like 2 weeks ago. Like now I'm at the point where I'm completely drowning and feel like I just can't catch up and there's so much to do. When I first hired my very first VA over a year ago, I was in a stage where I was still working as a contractor, and I had been building my business, my VA coaching business, for a while. And it was just like constantly working. Like I wasn't sleeping, I was forgetting to eat, I was definitely not exercising. And to be honest, I was just feeling like I was failing my clients. I wasn't fulfilling on stuff in a timely manner. I would say, hey, yeah, you guys can expect this on Friday. And then Friday would come and I would be like, not even close to done, not even starting it. So I was just completely felt like I was drowning. Like my list was just growing and growing, and I couldn't get on top of it or couldn't get ahead of it. And that's when I hired Rachel, my first VA. Now she's much more than just my VA. And what's interesting that came up, and what I absolutely know will come up for you, like almost guaranteed, is I hired her and she had gone through my program. So the interview process was pretty easy because we'd been working together for like 4 to 6 months. So we already knew each other pretty well, but we picked a start date. I was like, cool, yeah, we'll start next Monday. And then next Monday came around and I was like, I do not have time to train her and teach her what to do. Like I am so busy, I can't slow down this week. So I reached out to her. I was like, hey, can we push this to next week? And she was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then the next Monday came around and I was like literally about to type the email to be like, we got to push it back again. Like this week, last week was crazy and I finally got caught up. Now this week's crazy. So like next week will be much better. And I just stopped myself because I was like, this is always going to happen. Like, I am always going to be too busy to slow down, to train her, to like bring her, like onboard her right, and actually delegate what I need to. So that was a huge, huge lesson for me, and I did not push it back again. We got started, and I just can't even begin to describe the amount of relief I had by giving her just a couple things. She started like 10 hours a month, 10 to 15, I think her first month was. That's it. So it's just a couple hours a week, and like, it made the biggest impact in my business. In June of last year, that's when she started. And then in July, I had my highest revenue month that I'd ever had. So I'll share more about that in a minute. So that's the first way to tell if you're just like completely drowning and you realize that you just can't keep burning the fuel. What is that? Burning the candle at both ends. You just can't. So that's one. Hey, yay, see, we have some more people hopping on. Let me know if you guys are, if this is resonating with you, or if you feel like you're drowning, you're like, that's me. Comment below. The second way to know that you're ready to hire is if things are slipping through the cracks. So this is kind of what I was talking about a minute ago, where I was not fulfilling to my clients in a timely manner. Like, those kind of things were slipping through. And when I was at an agency a few years ago, every single time, or I was with them early this year, but this was a few years ago, every single time we were ready to hire, things were falling through, where contracts were, not being sent over on time, or things were being double checked before they were sent out. Like, we were just so overworked. Like, the little things started, like typos in emails, just like all the little things started to really slip through. And when you let that happen, not only do you feel like shit because you are just you feel like you're failing, but it's also not a great experience for your clients or for your prospects, your audience, or whoever is involved. Or if you already have one team member, like, it's not fun to be like constantly stressed and feeling like you have to double check everything, and it's just not a good feeling. So that's the second way. Again, comment below as I'm going through these if you are experiencing any of these. So the first one is if you're just completely drowning. Second one is if things are starting to slip through the cracks. Yay. Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Steph. And then the third way to tell that you're ready to hire is if you're on a revenue roller coaster. So right before I hired Rachel last year, that whole, like, the couple months before that were just like so up and down. I would have a 7K month, I would have a 2K month, I would have a less than 1K month. Like, it was just so up and down as far as like revenue sold, which also of course impacts your cash in ultimately. And it's just because I would have months where I was like heavily focused on the marketing, and then I would have months where I had to be behind the scenes creating the content and like doing all this time, spending all this time on admin tasks. So if you're in the spot where you're like, I spend an entire day every week, it takes me all of Monday to be inside MailChimp or ConvertKit and send out this newsletter. I have to write the newsletter, I have to format the newsletter, I have to figure out the tech. Like, I spend my whole day doing that. You do not need to be doing that. Like, that's not where your time is best spent. You need to be coaching, you need to be creating, you need to be on enrollment calls, sales calls. Like, you do not need to be inside your CRM sending emails and taking half or a whole day to do that. So all of that is going to impact your revenue. You're going to have those up and down months. And when I first hired, yay, hi, Allie. So happy you're here. When I first hired my VA last year, like I said earlier, the month after that, I had my highest month in business and was doubled. Actually, I think I over doubled my highest month, and which was like, it's like 13K, 13 something. And then 6 months later, I hired my social media manager, and the same thing happened. I was completely drowning. I was in the middle of a launch. I could not keep up with the social media. I was not being consistent. I was being one of those icky people who just started showing up a lot when I was in the middle of a launch and not that much in between, which is just doesn't feel good for me or for the people reading my content. And I hired her to help me manage my social media and be consistent. And the next month was over 20K. It was my highest month sold, my highest cash in, both of those over 20K. Like and like, that's all great. But the amount of relief I felt from not having to constantly be posting myself and worrying about being on Instagram and being on Facebook and being in my group and doing, like, there was so much that was like stressing me out. I was like, I'm not doing enough. And then once you have someone helping you do it, it just removes all of that. So that's the third way if you're on a revenue roller coaster. And if you're doing this online business thing by yourself, I can pretty much guarantee you're on a revenue roller coaster. Like, everyone I've talked to, all of my friends, all of the people I've done like trainings with, like, they have these 8K, 10K, 2K, 3K, like, it's just up and down and back and forth. And part of that might be the business strategy, that might be the launch structure that you're doing. But a big part of it is because you just can't do it all yourself. Can't be trying to keep up the constant steady momentum by yourself. It just doesn't last and it doesn't work. So I see we've had a few other people hop on, so let me know if that third one resonates with you. So 3 ways to tell if you're drowning, things are slipping through the cracks, and if you're on a revenue roller coaster. And all of these are very reactive rather than proactive. So that's another question I've been getting asked a lot, where people are like, don't feel like I'm ready yet, but should I still hire someone, like, just in case? Or not just in case, but like, I know I'm going to be busy in October. Should I hire them now so I can start whatever, like, training them and getting them integrated? And yay, hi Chad, hi Danielle. I think I was just on a training a few weeks ago with one of my mentors, Brianna Rose, teaching her mastermind about this, and we were talking about that fine line between wanting to hire someone because you need help and wanting to hire someone because you just don't want to do that part anymore. And there's a time and place for everything, but hiring someone to do your social media when you aren't doing it at all right now, it's just, you shouldn't hire someone to do, Danielle, I miss your voice too. You shouldn't hire someone to, like, start something new for you as your first hire. You should be hiring someone to take things off your plate, to help you move the business forward, keep the needle moving. And in my experience, a lot of times hiring is reactive. So you're reacting to one of these 3 things. You're reacting to your to-do lists, drowning. You're reacting to this revenue roller coaster, and that one's kind of reactive and proactive. You're like, how can I be proactive about not letting this happen anymore? And then things just falling through the cracks, like, those are just the clear signs that you need help. And that could be a VA, that could be a social media manager, that could be a project manager, like client concierge, community manager, like, it could be any of those things. I like using the word VA because VA is just all-encompassing and can do all of that. So yeah, let me know if you're watching the replay too. Let me know if any of these resonate with you, if you're experiencing any of these, if any other questions you have, if you're like, I think number 2 might apply to me, but I'm not 100% sure. I've only been in business for like 3 months. Do I need to be in business for a certain amount of time before I hire? And that's another huge myth, which I'll share more on tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to be sharing 4 myths of hiring. And a lot of it I've been hearing people say over the past couple weeks, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Like, I had no idea X, Y, and Z about hiring. Like, I was building it up to be this big, scary thing. So I'll be coming on again tomorrow and every day for the next week. But tomorrow I'll be sharing 4 myths of hiring, which really will help you bust through some of these things that might be stopping you. So you might be not really thinking about hiring because you have only been in business for 3 months, or because you think it'll cost you $2,000 to $3,000 a month to hire someone, and just things like that. So if you have any other questions, post them. Like I said, I'm going live the next 7 days. So if you ask me a really juicy question, I might be able to throw it in to the agenda. And I hope this was helpful. Bye, guys.